Now, I believe the movie Dune was commercially successful. A lot of people enjoyed watching it, enjoyed the grandeur of the scenes, the characters, the creatures, the effects, all the things. It was wonderful. So, I'm not going into a movie review. What I want to talk about is something else altogether. Now, when books get made into movies, a lot of things get lost or transformed. It's very difficult to keep the original intent of the author intact when you make a movie out of it. Now, the director of the Dune movies was Denis Villeneuve. I don't know how to pronounce his surname. So, he was the director who looked at the books and came out with the movies. So, the author is Frank Herbert. I want to play a short video of Denis that came out a couple of months ago after probably a few days after the movie came out, and I want all of us to watch it.
When the first novel came out, Frank Herbert was disappointed the way.
I believe I have not enabled audio. Let's see. Yeah.
When the first novel came out, Frank Herbert was disappointed the way the book has been perceived. He felt that the
So, as Dennis mentions, Frank was disappointed the way the book was perceived. His intent to communicate to the masses, audience, those who were reading was something, but people started picking something else altogether. Let us find out what it is.
reader were thinking that Dune was a celebration of Paul Atreides, but right the opposite. His intentions were to make a cautionary tale, a warning toward messianic figures. And then
So it's a cautionary tale, a warning about messianic figures. So people placing faith too much in another human being and thinking of salvation, leading them down the path and all those things. The author, Frank Herbert, didn't want people to go down that road.
in order to correct that, this perception of the first book, he wrote another book, Dune Messiah. Like it's almost like a tiny book, like an epilogue, where we understand what Paul really means to Frank Herbert. What I did is that
So the author, to clarify, for Frank to clarify his intent behind the Dune, he came up with another book because people started misinterpreting what Paul Atreides actually stood for, how he should be interpreted.
transform Shani's character. I made her more prominent.
So there is this character called Shani who follows Paul throughout most of the journey. So the director Denis, he decided to make her more prominent. Like she plays the role of the audience. The audience sees the entire movie through her eyes, sees the other characters through her eyes. She's sort of the narrator figure. If you watch the movies, it's not very true, but that's what the director intent comes out through.
In the book, Shani kind of dissolve into the shadow of Paul. She's in the background. She's a believer. There's nothing special apart that she's a Paul lover. There was a strong opportunity there, a character that could help me to have a critical distance with Paul Atreides. I love witness people that are listening in corners, or you can just feel their presence without dialogue.
So he decided to make her much more prominent and show his opinion, bring out the original author's opinion and the director's opinion through this character. So in the book, she fades to the background. There is not much role that she plays.
And understand what they are going through. And Zendaya is incredibly expressive with her eyes. And she brought that strength to the character that was required. I wanted to see in her the power of the youth, and someone that wants to transform her world, that she doesn't believe in the old ways of seeing the world. And she's a free character. Through her eyes, we understand what Paul becomes and in which direction he goes, and which transformed the movie not into a celebration, but as Frank Herbert was wishing, more of a warning.
So he says through her eyes, he tries to bring out Frank Herbert's original thought of to serve Paul's character, his narrative, his arc, growth, to be more of a warning rather than a great ending or something like that. So this is a video that was on Twitter, and there was this tweet by someone, Patrick, who this clearly says, for anyone that still thinks Paul's rise to power in Dune is up for interpretation. I believe there are a lot of forums that were discussing whether Paul ends up being a good guy, a bad guy, and so on. Here's Denis setting the record straight. He rewrote Chani to basically spoon feed the audience that Paul is bad. So both Frank Herbert and Denis truly believe that Paul is bad, even though the appearance of it externally doesn't feel like so. But it's quite clear a lot of Dune fans think he's still like Luke Skywalker. People feel that Star Wars originally was referenced from Dune. So Luke Skywalker, who is the protagonist, the hero of the first set of movies, people think Paul Atreides is the same as Luke Skywalker, a heroic figure. So, but it's quite clear a lot of Dune fans think he's still Luke Skywalker, which just reinforces the idea the book's movies propose about messianic figures. Denis is still going to have to make Messiah to deal with the same issue Herbert had. So this person, Patrick, points out that people are still arguing about how to interpret, even though the director makes it clear, the book author makes it clear, people are not realizing, they are failing to realize that Paul Atreides is a bad guy. That is why Chani's character was rewritten. I was impressed by this tweet. Yeah, here is some clarity. Here is a video justifying it. All of it. Now, there was a follow-up tweet to this by someone else who gave a wonderful rebuttal. My Dune 2 review. Someone, Vagrant of Roads over here. My Dune 2 review. What's so funny to me about Dune 2 is that the aesthetics of the film completely undermine this. This is a reaction to the tweet. Undermine this at every turn. People would simply rather have a purposeful life, believing in someone great and in purpose bigger than themselves. I'll just reread that. People would simply rather have a purposeful life, believing in someone great and in some purpose bigger than themselves. It's also just cooler and way more fun. Who doesn't want to go on a holy war across the universe with their mates to free their people from ancient foes? Stilgar is one of the characters who glorifies Paul Atreides, calls him the Messiah, Lisan al-Gaib, and looks at him as a heroic figure. He also serves the comedic element in the movies. Whenever Stilgar pointed out that Paul is the Lisan al-Gaib, the messianic figure, the entire audience erupted into laughter. Stilgar is happy to follow Paul, willing to give his life to something greater. And he is having a blast the whole time. Stilgar is absolutely enjoying it. Even though he's injured, he's wounded, he's struggling to move, he's struggling to lead the tribe, he's absolutely enjoying it. He's having a blast the whole time. Meanwhile, Chani just scowls the whole time. She's super grumpy. She's miserable, angry, petulant, and unsatisfied. She's empty. It's just more fun to ride with Lisan al-Gaib and his merry band of Destiny believers. The Northern Fremen. So there are two tribes for those who followed the movie. The Fremen are the tribe where Paul Atreides, the protagonist, moves along with. The Northern tribe does not believe in the messianic figure, while I believe the Southern tribe believe. So Stilgar is sort of the part of the Southern tribe who broke off of a faction, if I'm not wrong. So the Northern Fremen, who are a lot more rational and all, with their narcissistic atheism and judgmental belief system, have waged a futile resistance for years. They have been the rebels trying to get rid of the main villains of the story, but they have not been successful. It isn't until Paul gets there and inspires belief that they actually begin to have real success. So a lot of things change when Paul comes and starts leading them. They are able to, a lot of their plans start having success, have real success and turn the tide. How is that not destiny? I believe it is more like a self-fulfilling prophecy. It proves the faith of the Southern Fremen, who are judged and looked down upon by the Northern brothers and sisters. It proves that belief is simply better. It proves that purpose matters. While Stilgar is mocked at the start of the film, I mainly believe from the audience point of view, I don't remember if other characters mock him. I think the Northern tribe also mocks him. I'm not able to fully recollect. While Stilgar is mocked at the start of the film, by the end you can't help but cheer and believe alongside him. The momentum gathers around the believers, not the faithless, who are quickly pushed into a supporting role. The best part is, by the end of the film, you simply stop caring about Chani. She is reduced to a mere speed bump on the crescendo of the plot, and the greatness of Paul's prophetic rise and acceptance of his fate. She doesn't even matter by the climax. We are watching brilliant atomic blasts, skyscraper-sized sandworms, and epic duels for the future of the universe. And we are supposed to care about her pouting? She believes only in herself. How timid and minuscule. Paul has grown beyond her perspective and her small mind. So have we, by the beautiful accident of Villeneuve's cinematic aesthetics, which prove there are things far greater than ourselves out there. The momentum of aesthetics leaves the stand-in for modernity's narcissistic smallness, Chani, lagging far behind. The audience, like everyone else in the film, is caught up in the magnetic appeal of Paul's promised destiny. We cheer for the vengeance of the Atreides. We are thrilled by the downfall of the corrupt emperor. We are joyous of the victory over petty administrative narcissism. We are swept away by the glory of the coming holy war and the implications of fulfilling a prophecy centuries in the making. What's more human than that? Answer: absolutely nothing. That's why it's fun. There are no modern values, no judgmental superiority, no progress to be made that will ever top man's innate desire for adventure, greatness, and purpose. And I think that it's pretty awesome that the film bears this out, even if it's unintentional by the director or the author. I felt an epiphany when I read this tweet. I felt I was looking at life, looking at everything, primarily programming, coding, and all those things from something similar to Chani's point of view. Oh, how am I going to benefit out of this? Will this help my career? Can I do something about this? Is there any benefit in it for me? Was what was driving a lot of my efforts. Now we'll get on to some slides that I have prepared. I want to use this Dune reference. I have set up context over the last several minutes, setting up context to understand the characters. Now in the previous video or the live stream, if you are watching right now, we covered some block diagrams where I was explaining what students undergo when they think of computer science from school, when they think of computer science during college and all. A quick recap: students and their parents, they think about computer science as a course when deciding college. They don't usually think too much far into jobs and other things. They just see what has value. But sometimes nowadays a lot of people also talk about placements, salaries, how much is the starting salary, and so on. Now, this is what I feel students feel. They are very optimistic, like Chani in the beginning of the movies. Very optimistic. Hey, I'm going to do computer science. I'm going to have a fun job. I'm going to enjoy programming in front of a computer. I'm going to look cool in front of my friends. My parents are going to be happy. Parents are proud of their kids. Everything is very optimistic. And especially when they get into a college degree that offers computer science, they are very proud of themselves. That's how I would put it. But one point I clarified previously was that if you think of it, computer science as a stepping stone into college, at some point of time when things go bad, you will stop making progress in computer science. I'm not denying, I'm not saying that computer science is the only option in life. But what I'm trying to tell over here is the world of computer science, the entire ecosystem, the domain, the industry is much bigger than college. So what you might end up doing is, hey, after college, computer science doesn't seem to be a great career, or moving forward in the industry a couple of years, people switch gears, they move on to other career options. I think that's very subjective. It's completely fine, personal decisions. But overall, if I would like to look back at my history, I would like to say college was a small stepping stone on the way to computer science overall. There is a lot more to computer science than what you enjoy at college. How would you handle your job and so on. So this inversion of thinking was something that I was talking about in the last live stream. Now, One more important point that I mentioned was a lot of joy, especially in programming, comes only when you're good at it. When you read a tutorial, when you watch something, when you follow a video, when you read a book, or when you try things on your own, read the documentation, there is a high chance of failure. You might not succeed at all. That leads to a lot of frustration. You will keep starting tutorials, but you'll never improve. So I believe a lot of skills, especially in programming, computer science, and similar fields, you can get stuck in a loop. Say you get started Hello World programming, you start in Python, JavaScript, one of the easy to catch first programming languages. It's difficult to move on beyond that. You will keep writing very poor code, mediocre code in the same language again and again. For you to move on to level 2 and then on to higher levels, it takes great effort. Sometimes you need clarity. It doesn't come automatically on your own. There are some traits that we did discuss, but what I'm trying to say is it's easy to get stuck in traps. So after a while, especially during final year of college or the first few years of the industry, computer science engineers start feeling miserable. They are very angry. They feel they have been misled, like Chani in Dune. They are filled with nothing but high expectations and their skills not matching it. And they feel they were promised the sky and now they are not able to reach it. This is where I feel the same concept that we discussed in the last few minutes matter. If you are thinking only about yourself, your own growth, how you can apply it in your job, it is going to be difficult. Last time we discussed what are the common concerns that beginner software developers in the industry have. One, they say, oh, my salary is not good enough. I'm much more capable than this. I really want this much salary. There are no opportunities out there. I deserve this. That feeling of entitlement, right? I'm not debating whether it's okay or not, but remuneration is a very important concern. The second thing is recognition. Hey, I'm extremely smart. I can think so logically. I have done computer science engineering, but my peers, my family, others outside non-programmers, people not in the software industry whatsoever, they are not recognizing me for my brilliance. So I could be well rewarded in terms of money, but if I'm just treated like a cog in the wheel, that leads to a lot of frustration build up where developers start having this look on their face. This expression is what they carry around all the time. Then the third thing is you might have excellent remuneration. You might also be recognized in your workplace and other places for being a good software developer. But then you might end up having what is called grunt work, which is like the same repetitive actions again and again, which are not fulfilling at all. Working on interesting problems is a huge expectation from a lot of software developers. They take great pride in their work. So if you give them very boring, very meaningless work, it becomes extremely difficult for them to sustain. I believe I am such a kind of a person. I need to see it from an interesting point of view lens for me to handle any of these problems. I can't keep doing the same kind of task again and again over a period of weeks, months and years. The last important point is having a structure. A lot of people get into college degrees as computer science, or during college, even if they are doing something else around that period of time in their early 20s, they learn computer science from books, mentor figures, internet and so on. But they really are not able to plan their career. Okay, I'm a junior software developer, senior software developer, team lead and all. Is that what it is? Also, how do I think about learning in addition to my day job? So this lack of structure is something that has been lacking, which is what these parts we covered in the previous video. Now, what we came up with that I discussed was, usually when you go to a workplace, the topmost priority is business success. Only if your business is succeeding, you will feel content, there will be a sense of fulfillment. Technical skills, your coding skills play a very small part in terms of adding value to the business and your business to succeed. So I'm not saying you have to go do sales or marketing. If you are a programmer, there are still other things that you should do. Communicate extensively. How good are you communicating a complicated technical problem to non-developers? That is a very important job. To me, that's more important than how many languages you know, what all frameworks you are aware of, all those things. The third thing is, whatever you do, the salary that you are getting paid is indirectly coming from the success of the business. If your business is not making money, if you don't have understanding of the business model, say for example, you are working in some Web3 technologies and all those things where the industry has shown, the market has shown that there is not much sustainable demand for such things, you will be quickly out of a job or your company will have to pivot. So this awareness of what the business model of the company that you work for is extremely important. This is the next layer for now, for all of this, you need to have internal drive. That's how you keep learning both within the job and outside the job. Now, I have read a lot of blog posts and I watched a lot of videos and I have experienced these three things have made me deeply believe if you want internal drive, you need to have fun and you should also be building things. You can't just be consuming alone, watching endless YouTube videos, reading memes about and sharing jokes about programming. You should be hands-on. You should write a lot of code. Until then, you will not be able to internalize. So we discussed this levels, right? You will not be able to progress upwards in levels. You will be stuck at the same level forever if you don't build things. If you don't learn new programming languages, new ways of thinking, and so on. This is something that we discussed. Now, the structure part of it and comparing with both the Dune movie and the book as well, what a lot of programmers need is a guiding hand, someone to lead the way, someone to lend structure to them. That person should be extremely capable where they are building a lot of things. They also show you how to build a lot of things where you're able to follow along. And more importantly, they have fun and you're able also to enjoy their content or videos or anything. If I am having fun, but if these videos are boring for you, you will not follow me. So we need a somewhat sort of a messianic figure, a Lisan Al-Gaib, who will lead the way. This is someone, I don't think I'm that good enough. Like I need to upgrade myself several levels in communication, technical skills and all those things. I've been trying to find who will be the one who takes things forward, who makes me enjoy computer science. So at college, I did enjoy, but through different workplaces, through different work cultures, I felt I was not enjoying how I enjoyed at college. Who is the Paul Atreides? Who is the Lisan Al-Gaib? Who is going to take developers forward? In my very personal, very subjective opinion, there is one programmer out there who is fantastic, who has absolute wonderful, enjoyable content for programmers. I don't know how he appears in the eyes of a non-programmer. Maybe people find it cringe or something. I really do not know. But as a programmer, I've been following this person for several years. But recently I felt he has been leading the way for all of us. It is none other than the Primeagen. So he has a YouTube channel, The Prime Time. He streams on Twitch. His content is absolutely amazing. If you are watching this on YouTube or Twitch, please pause the stream or pause the video, do something. Please go follow him. Please go follow all his content. This is not a paid ad, not a promotion. I believe I have been able to enjoy programming and coding in the last few months only because I am following a lot of his content. Absolute high quality, absolute full 10 on 10 on entertainment value. So his content, probably you might have to watch it on earphones. It can be a little loud if you are watching it in a public environment, but extremely good. There are other excellent programmers who talk about content as well. I'll talk about them in the following videos, but usually people get lost when I start sharing a list of extremely good programmers who make good content. People get lost they start doing it, that at some point of time they stop. So my goal over here is to just point to one person who will lead the way, who you can follow, who will make programming fun for you. And that person, in my very personal subjective opinion, is the Primeagen. There are also other people like Tej who collaborate with Primeagen. His content is also excellent. But again, I don't want you to get distracted. You are definitely free to go follow his content, Theo's content and others. But moving on about Primeagen, there are some videos. Again, I can just keep talking Lisan Al-Gaib and keep singing in praise. I need to show it to you, right? So what we'll do next is watch one of his videos. So what is the advice he would give himself if he was starting as a software engineer? Very straightforward, right? Let me just figure out the right tab. And let me go rewind and start playing this.
So I have been programming professionally and on the side for getting close to 2 decades at this point. I've spent many years writing Java, C, C++, Python, Rust, Go, JavaScript, TypeScript, you name it. If I could go back and correct one mentality of mine from
Okay, one point I would like to mention. I would like to pause here, interrupt, and give my reaction to the statements that he's making. I feel there are programmers who really understand you need to act a lot. You need to get your hands dirty. You need to start coding, right? Build a lot of stuff, or at least go deep into it. Then there are other programmers who just talk about languages at the surface level. Hey, I know this language. I'm decent at it, and that's all I'll do. So you need someone who knows the lay of the land, who has gone through all programming languages, more popular programming languages, and is able to compare them all. So his credibility is fantastic.
professionally and on the side for getting close to 2 decades at this point. I've spent many years writing Java, C, C++, Python, Rust, Go, JavaScript, TypeScript, you name it.
So these are not hello world programs. All the programs that he has written are real, high quality, either applications or tools or libraries.
I could go back and correct one mentality of mine from that entire time, I know exactly what it would be. So first, let me tell you a story so that way you can kind of understand where I'm coming from. In 2007, 8, 9, I was in college. I'm pretty excited just learning how to program, getting pretty dang fast at it. I did a little bit in high school. I did a little bit of it when I was in 6th grade. But now I'm really actually doing it. And the thing is that I've always been on a Windows machine at that point. I just loved, obviously, gaming. That was my thing. Oh, you almost got me, Trap. Oh, I had a lot of fun doing it. And now all of a sudden, I'm in college, and that's still the operating system that I prefer. Of course, a lot of my classes and everything are...
So to quickly summarize, he's been someone who has been using computers for playing video games on Windows, not much into programming, not much into learning other things, how things deeply work. It sort of sounds familiar. I believe me and several of my friends, we underwent the same path as well. We were not much interested. We were a little familiar here and there, but not very interested in programming or understanding computers very well. So it's never too late. Even if you are starting in your 20s, a lot of us actually start learning only in our 20s. So you don't have to be too concerned. Even if you start learning early, I don't think it's much of an advantage. You need to deeply understand a lot of concepts, which comes with age, with maturity, and so on.
Require me to use CentOS or CentOS. I have no idea. The Freshmaker. I have no idea how you actually say the thing. But either way, I, would straddle the line, right? For labs, I used CentOS. At home, I used Windows. NetBeans on both, because come on, it's NetBeans, the greatest editor of all time. And in about 2008, I decided I wanted to start a website. I called it Life in America is Hard. I thought it was funny. You'd leave little notes about things that are hard in America, such as having to wait in line for coffee, or, those kind of things, right? Anyways, while I was developing it, I kind of had this idea, okay, I kind of want to get good at Linux. And so in 2008, got partitioned my machine.
So if you see, it was a very soft interest. It's not like, hey, I'm going to drop everything. I'm going to be really good at it. I believe his interest into getting into Linux was more of an organic feeling. He didn't force his way. It's not like he wanted to be super popular with his friends, or he wanted to get a fantastic high paying job or start a new business on his own. It was just organic, which I think is excellent.
Put Ubuntu on it, and I stuck with it for probably about a week, but I kind of avoided it. You know what I mean? Yes, I was using it, but I really just avoided it. I didn't actually do it, and ultimately I stopped using it altogether.
So, for those who are not familiar, when you are dual booting, I was triple booting at some point of time, you have something called a bootloader. Grub is a very famous tool that a lot of people use. A lot of people I know used to install Windows alongside another Linux distribution, a distro like Ubuntu, Fedora, CentOS in his example, and so on. I always believe I'll see the grub. Oh, it has a 10-second timer. No, I don't want to do anything with Ubuntu. Probably sometime later, very similar thoughts of his. Oh, I'll just quickly, before the 10 seconds expire, and it automatically goes into Ubuntu, where I have to restart the system all over again and then wait for it to boot and all. I used to switch on my laptop, press down twice, and boot into Windows almost all the time. That was more like 95% of the times. That's how I use my laptop.
I had this mentality that I was right. And when I looked at things that had some sort of friction or difficulty to them, and I could kind of perceive it, I would just assume they are wrong. And what I
So this is an excellent point. All the time when we encounter friction, we are not very sure it is a skill issue. Is it because that we are limited in understanding or seeing the value of it? So we just think it's bad UX. We don't really see the value of things and we move on. So sometimes the best things are the points where we have friction. If we are able to move beyond that, I think we derive a lot of value. He'll explain better. I don't want to keep interrupting him.
I mean by this, of course, is like using the CLI or Vim or any of the, kind of like the more hardcore hacker type things. It just felt like they were kind of a thing of the past, a relic of the past, and really the future's in these IDEs, and that is it.
So this is something I used to face as well. Maybe the command line cannot support GPUs. There's no GPU rendered text and all those things. Your IDEs are visually much better. So modern hardware enabled IDEs. So if command line tools worked way back in the 80s and 90s, modern IDEs are probably better because they look better, is the opinion that I used to have as well.
And I didn't realize how much that was going to hinder me for quite some time. For many, many years, I just simply avoided all these hard things, things that were different, not because they were not beneficial, but because I simply assumed they weren't beneficial. I had this mentality where I believed I was right. And that didn't just stop with the technologies I used. It also happened to be when I was at work, how I treated people, all those kind of things, right? Because it all is one mentality. I simply believed myself to be more correct more often than others in all sorts of areas. And yeah, I was pretty smart. I did the best, top of my class. I was obviously very good at my job, excelled above other people. Confidence kind of, even though it was a bad type of confidence, it kept compounding in on itself. And if I could go back, I really just wish I could tell myself, it is okay to be uncomfortable. It is okay to use something that is perceivably slower than what you use right now, or even way more difficult to do the same thing, because it's not about your instantaneous speed up. It's about that long-term dividend play. If I would have known this, I would not have.
So the best things in life, if you wait for them, you will get it, which is what delayed gratification is all about. If you have a plan, if you know executing that plan will definitely lead to success, then all that is stopping us is practicing delayed gratification. If we can wait for the result, a lot of times we'll be much better than just linearly progressing. We'll have exponential progress if we are able to practice delayed gratification.
Had nearly as bad of an interview as I did. For a company I had, they asked me, hey, could you go through a directory and it has subdirectories and all these different files have, just have a bunch of HTML and all this, but we've been hacked. And there's a bunch of free Viagra, call this number, throughout all these different files. And we'd like to remove all of them. Now, of course, me being the young spitting engineer with zero tolerance for the CLI and those other things, what did I do? I literally, by hand, wrote perfectly working Java code, buffered writer, tokenizer, bam, 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 wrote the entire recursive directory walk from my heart of hearts onto the board. And of course, what did my interviewer do?
You could have just used grep.
And it was kind of...
So for those who did not hear that clearly, he wrote a huge complicated application in Java to recursively find things. There is this tool grep, G-R-E-P, for those who are not familiar, that just simply solves a problem. There's an existing tool out there that will quickly solve things.
Like in that moment, I realized I should probably know more, right? Because looking back on it, it's obvious. I know exactly how I would solve that now. Boom, little sed grep super combo, right? It'd be super easy to kind of go through some stuff and just...
So he briefly mentions sed, SED, a tool with sed and grep, he'll solve it instantaneously.
Depending on if you just want the list of files or do you want me to change them, right? And so I kind of feel stupid, right? Now, looking back. And so I really hope you can hear this. It's not just me trying to get you to use Vim or saying the CLI is the best place, but really for you to look at problems and understand that you don't know everything. and that using things that seem different or strange, it's okay, because ultimately it's gonna make you a better engineer, and who knows, it may pay some amazing dividends down the road, and hopefully you don't look like such a doofus as I did during that interview. So go ahead. If all you ever use is VS Code, try Emacs. Look at this. I'm not even suggesting my favorite editor, Vim, at this point. Go just try anything else. Go try IntelliJ. Go try some other things. See what you can do. All you ever do is just do React and front end. Try Solid, try Vue, expand your horizon, try to understand things better, because ultimately, the more ways you see a problem be solved, the more ways that you can solve a problem. We are often limited by our experiences, and that's really what separates a junior from a senior, is just experiences seeing things done differently. And ultimately, that's going to make you a much better engineer. And I really wish I could have told myself that a decade ago. I hope you liked this video. Please subscribe. And of course, actually make a comment down below. Tell me a little story about yourself. I probably will reply to you. My name is The Primeagen.
So this was a video that is not very recent. Oops, I just went to a completely different video
I have been
altogether. This came out when? I'm not sure. I changed my YouTube interface, but it's not a recent video. So, but still it stands the test of time. I believe it's 2 or 3 years old, but then I could completely relate to it. I could not have put it in better words. So if you want this kind of content, definitely he is someone who knows what he's talking about. Moving on, I want to cover one more video of his as well. So the previous video, I believe, shares his competency. It illustrates his general experience, how he puts across advice and all. But I told that is one part of it, right? The other part is having fun. I believe this video about where he talks about why he creates YouTube videos, why he live streams on Twitch and all those things. I believe he hit 500,000 subscribers on YouTube just a couple of days ago. He talks his own personal journey of why he makes all this content for others. So he does have some paid courses here and there, but he doesn't shill them. He doesn't project them into all of his videos again and again. So there are nearly 800 videos of his on YouTube that are freely available for everyone to see. So definitely, if you want a specific course, you can always, I believe they are on Front-End Masters, some boot.dev. There are some courses that he makes available, but I don't think he makes all these YouTube videos just to sell his courses, which that authenticity is very important. So let us go and into looking why Primeagen makes content.
As the CEO of the startup, I do think it's a very important responsibility to be out there and in front of the people. And I get this question all the time. Why do you stream? Well, you know what? I decided that I'm gonna have to answer it. So, of course, during a nice all hands, I let loose. I let it out there. I told exactly why I stream and even make YouTube videos. I just wanted to say your recent streams have made a huge difference for me lately. Really helps remind me to have fun while engineering. Well, thank you. Hey, I really do appreciate that. I hope that you guys, you understand something. A huge reason why I do what I do is so that you guys can find that joy again. Do you know what I mean? I think it is too easy to forget how fun engineering actually is. We literally can build whatever the hell you want, whenever you want to be able to build it, right? Like, that is just so incredible. And I feel like there's just...
I think that was one of the reasons why I got into building software. The fact that I can actually build anything that I want. I believe in the real world, engineers also do so, but in software, you are not limited by so many of the real world constraints. That is quite amazing. I believe I started losing sight of the bigger picture of why I write a lot of software.
To build it, right? Like, that is just so incredible. And I feel like there's just so many people that go off and they just get so stuck with this idea that things either have to be perfect, they have to be able to be this good to be able to build something. They're stuck constantly in tutorial hell. They're constantly stuck. They're constantly looking down. They constantly look at somebody else doing something and they're going super fast. And they just feel this like huge weight on their shoulders where they wish they were something better, where they wish they could actually accomplish something, but they don't.
So this, I believe, without getting too much into details, I believe that attitude where we feel the imposter syndrome, where we are not good enough, I think that comes because we end up seeking perfection a lot of time in life. I believe perfection is the enemy of progress. If we organically grow while having fun at it, we'll definitely be much better over a longer period of time. He even explains in a video why he disagrees that anything is hard, just everything takes time. That attitude also is something that when I started practicing it, I believed that a lot of things stopped looking hard, just that they were time consuming to do and follow.
Don't realize like the fun and the goodness that's literally right before them. It's like right there. They can reach out and they can touch it. And when I started watching a couple of the engineering streams, because I got curious what was going on, right? I started realizing that it was very subdued. Every engineer would get on there. Yeah, there was like either really educational streams or there was really like someone just working on a project, right? But there was nobody in there that was, I felt like just having just like that the raw goodness of.
So he clearly points out something that I have felt both as a viewer and as a streamer: the energy level, the enjoyment, the thrill of writing programming on the live stream is a gap that he felt is something that he could fill.
Just making something. You know what I mean? Just having fun doing the engineering. And I just felt like that was just a huge disservice because there's so many new people that I see all the time. I get so many whispers like, please, I don't know what to do next. I feel stuck. I feel like I don't know what I'm doing. And the answer is just make it fun, right? Like just find something you like to do and just build it. Don't care if it's useful. Don't care if it's going to make somebody else happy. Don't care if you can or can't make money off of it. Just simply enjoy it. And if you can figure out a way to enjoy it, your skills are going to grow so fast. You're going to be able to push through the times that are hard, right? Because there's eventually a hard moment in your life coming where you're not going to want to program. You're going to have a bunch of dumb crap going on in your life. Your job's going to give you terrible things to do. Something's going to happen. But if you don't have like that inner thing that drives you forward, you're going to be sad. You know what I mean? You're going to be just like dying on the inside all the time. And I just wanted you guys to know like, it is actually fun. And that's been a huge motivation for why I've done this stream, why I've started doing this, why I've done any of it at all, why I started making YouTube videos. I don't even like making YouTube videos, but I know.
So this clearly stating it out there that he's there to make entertaining videos, make it fun. I think that is very important. A lot of people might go and subscribe, enjoy his content, last several videos. Hey, they are absolutely enjoyable. But if he comes and says, no, I'm just doing it for myself, I'm not here to please all of you, then the purpose is not served. I was looking forward to someone who makes programming enjoyable for him. Him making it very clear, putting it out there, very explicit that he's here to have fun, make programming feel fun for all of us again. I think that makes a huge difference out there.
Know 100% that it was going to be worth it for the people watching. They had to see something different, right? They just had to. And so I had to make it. I felt like it just had to be done. I did it for you guys. Everybody say hi. Hi, YouTube. I'm not going to lie to you. This is not monetarily worth the time.
This goes out to the Primogen.
I get paid enormously more at Netflix to do my work. And the reality is I probably could have been being paid more at Netflix if I would have not done this and just focused on Netflix work. That is the reality. I could have been paid more, but I chose to do this. I had to do it, right? Like I really had to do it. There's too many people that they feel lost out there, you know?
This exactly. Too many people feel lost out there, and when someone comes and create such valuable content in such a fun and engaging manner, I think that makes a huge world of difference. We are not all logical. We like to think logically. We like to claim that we are all logical as programmers, but we are also human beings. We are emotional. We need someone to make it fun, interesting, lead the way, and make it completely enjoyable so that we enjoy the process and not just keep seeking some destination all the time in life. So I believe this is the simplest solution where we just start having fun by just collaborating, doing things along, watching such funny videos. So I don't think he's just making things exaggerated or humorous or funny just to have the limelight. He strongly believes that when he has fun, he's able to positively influence other programmers' lives. And I think that is very deeply meaningful.
No, it sucks. I felt lost, man. I've told you this, guys, a million times. Like, my dad died when I was young. I had nobody to speak into my life. Like, as a dude, I feel like you need a dude to speak into your life, right? It's just a reality. I don't know what it's like to be a woman, so I can't. Anna Codes, I have no idea what you need. But for me, it's like that's what I needed the most when I was young, and I never had it. The only people I had in my life were like I had a drug addict for a brother and a alcoholic for a uncle, and my other uncle physically abused me. Like, I just didn't have anything that was like a good male role model of any kind. My dad was awesome, but he was stuck in addiction, and I loved my dad. He's just a shitty dad, he made bad decisions and he killed himself, right? Driving too fast, drinking, and it was his own stupid fault, and he left a bunch of youngins like me at home with nobody. So, that's why, I gotta be that to somebody else, Oh, that got weird at the end. I can't talk about that stuff. Let's move on. All right. Anyways, I like you guys, though. You guys are all a bunch of degenerates, and I appreciate you all. Sweet transition time. Go. Get him out. Get
You can
him
feel the calm
out.
before the storm as the
We
round
don't
begins.
want none of this.
So that very clearly explains why he's out there to build the content. Before we move on, I would like to talk about a couple of points. Where were we? Yep. Is there another video there? Okay. So what I'll do now over here is he goes into a lot of setting up developer productivity and all the things. But I feel I want to take my time setting up context in these live streams or later available videos so that they are consumable. I'm not good enough to create multi-hour videos that are still engaging for anyone to follow through. It will just be floating content on the internet. So in the next stream, probably I'll go into what I want to do, how I'm going to follow some of his tutorials to do what I really want to do. Until then, I believe please do go follow Primeagen, start watching a lot of his content. I believe you will start finding the joy of programming back once again.